Well, it's been a long time since I did any artwork, so please excuse me, but there is who we're going to talk about right now, and that is should be a common Beebs. But of course, my art sucks. But anyway, so we're going to talk about bee sting allergies. I'm having a good time with these allergies today. I don't know why. I'm on a roll. So let's talk about them because some of these allergies, particularly with bee stings and things like this may be something you run across this summer or things like that. So let's talk about them. All right, bees inject a toxic venom. Now, if you think about what does toxic venom mean, we're talking poison, pretty much. So they inject a toxic venom which contains proteins such as melatonin and phospholipase A2. I didn't look those up to explain them. I might do that later. And they inject it. They take out their little hypodermics that they run around with, and they inject that into your skin. That's how you get stung. On the first sting, your immune system says, oh crap, a bee sting, and mistakenly thinks that it's in grave danger. So it identifies the venom as dangerous. So the response is that the body produces antibodies called immunoglobulin E, which targets the bee venom. Okay, so basically your body kind of panics and overreacts. So the next time you get stung, it changes. So next time you're stung, the immunoglobulin E antibodies instantly recognize the venom, and then they signal the release of massive amounts of chemicals such as histamines. Okay, so your body is like, oh no, and it's releasing all this stuff. The result is a rapid chemical release which causes severe systemic symptoms and can cause something called anaphylaxis. And anaphylaxis is a very severe reaction which can stop your breathing. It can swell up your tongue that stops your breathing passages. It's very, very severe. And if you have this reaction, you will want the paramedics now, not later, now. So it is a very severe reaction, can kill you. So it won't necessarily kill you, but it can kill you. So it can cause hives, intense itching, flushed pale skin, or it can cause swelling of the tongue, which is not good, throat, lips, or face. Now, if your tongue and throat swell, you're going to have a breathing problem, which is going to be very severe. Difficulty breathing or wheezing, dizziness, rapid pulse, or fainting, nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. I think there should have been an H in that diarrhea. And this allergy can also develop first of all, it can also develop anytime in your life. So maybe you don't react to bee stings, and maybe you do. I will tell you my history with it a little bit. It's kind of interesting. When I was a kid, now it's not the case now, but when I was a kid, I hated shoes. I hated shoes. I ran around barefoot like all the time. I would go run around the yard barefoot, and when you run around the yard barefoot, once in a while your foot encounters a bee on a dandelion or something. And so I got stung and I had a swollen foot. Well, this happened more than once. And as I would get these stings, I would get more and more of a reaction. Well, fast forward to later in my life, and it's funny because I really didn't get stung a lot for a long time. But when I was married and in northern Minnesota the first time, I did a lot of gardening, like a lot. It was something I really, really enjoyed. And I had a big place, I had a big backyard to do it in. And of course, that brought me face to face with bees and wasps and hornets and etc. I also had one real big issue with hornets one time because we had a pine tree which had shed a bunch of its needles, and we didn't kind of think anything of it, didn't pick the needles up, and they dried. And what happened was hornets made a nest under it. Little did I know, and one day I decided I'm going to clean up those needles. Little did I know what was under there, and the minute I disturbed it, they swarmed all over me, and I had to run in the house, and I had to peel off my clothes, which just had hornets all over. It was pretty awful. I jumped in the shower, and it was pretty awful. It really was. And so that probably upped my stinging mechanisms, I would guess. And I haven't been stung very much by wasps, but hornets have been a problem. I haven't really had yellow jacket stings either. More honeybees and hornets. Hornets are a big deal. So after I had that problem, I did see a doctor, and they did want to give me an EpiPen. They said, well, we're kind of on the edge of it. You know, if you have one more reaction, we're probably going to give you one, but they just never did. And then too, I stopped gardening, and so anyway, I don't have the reactions now that I used to. However, this, I don't know, I guess it just, your system just stays on this high alert, I suppose, because years later, even after that, I was divorced, and I was out in Colorado, and I was trying to do something one day that I was having a lot of frustrations doing. I was tired, I was hungry, I was cold, and I sat down and started crying in public, and I disturbed a bee, and the bee came and stung me. And I was like, I was having a hard time anyway, and I was upset enough to cry, and the bee comes to sting me. Well, that didn't really help anything. And then a policeman came because somebody called him because I was crying, and then he was horrible, and he scared me half to death, and I ended up having a heart attack, and they had to call the paramedics. And listen, this was horrible. Well, they finally let me go, because when they finally calmed down and stopped yelling at me, my heart and blood pressure kind of went back to normal, so they decided to release me. Well, I drove all day to leave that area because I thought, I am so not going to be here anymore. And when I got out of that area, I had enough money to take a room for the night. And the next morning, my whole body, neck, body, everything, not so much my tongue, not so much my lips, but my whole body was swollen. And I would guess, I did have heart problems the day before, but I would guess the bee sting probably caused the swelling. So even after years of not having the sting, I still reacted. So I'm just saying, my own experience is that I don't think this reverses itself. So anyway, be careful and watch out this summer for flying insects that sting. And if you have any kind of a reaction, do call somebody, and don't just say, oh, it'll go away, because it might not. And anyway, if you have any interesting comments, I'll leave the comments on, and I will put some links about this in as well.